All right, we'll get started. So, thank you all for those who have joined and tuned in from wherever you are in the world. So, uh, good morning or good afternoon, good evening to the folks in India. Thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Kishore, and I work as a head of digital technology solutions with mobility platforms and solutions. So, today we are all aware that um, the modern vehicle is a data center on wheels, right? All the tier one, all the OEMs are trying to position themselves from a hardware supplier to a software or a software defined vehicle. So, real time data is basically a fuel. And managing this data flow is becoming the new bottleneck. A lot of companies spend a lot of time and effort wiring up things on their own, right? And uh, s- that is where we want to present to you one of our partner solutions, which will help you ease working with data, real time data. Specifically, if you ever tried your hand at self managing Kafka, you know that it is a nightmare. If I were to use an analogy of an orchestra or a symphony, you have multiple sensors, vehicles, and data flowing in, and you soon realize that you're spending a lot of your time and effort building the boilerplate code or building the basic building block without having a lot of effort towards focusing on the domain, focusing on the use case. And that's where one of the product offerings that we have simplifies this. It gives you a very seamless experience of using the technology while also giving you a lot of pre-built connectors and pre-built workflows, and it's no code kind of a platform. So we intend to give you a glimpse of what this is, how it can be used, what are the use cases you can use it for. We have about 40 to 50 minutes of demonstration and talking about the product, and we will have a small time towards the end to questions. So if you have questions during the presentation, you can leave it on the chat message or use the Q&A icon, and we will try to answer it as we go along. And if you would like to speak, your mics will be unmuted at the Q&A section towards the end of the presentation, and we could have a few questions then. So with this, I kind of hand it over to Sudeep from our partner organization, Zeliot. So Sudeep, over to you.
Thanks, Kishore. Hello, everybody, for joining in. Very excited to be here. And as Kishore mentioned, the modern day vehicle is basically data on wheels. So that's a right kind of starting point to get into what we've been doing over close to 7 years now. So I'm one of the co-founders of Zeliot. We started the company in 2018 with the idea of and at least in an Indian scenario at the time, we were looking at connected vehicle technology being taken to the forefront by a lot of the OEMs. So it was a time when when connected vehicles, you would just think of like a basic fleet management solution to track where your vehicle is and so on. But OEMs or the vehicle manufacturers were kind of looking at this technology seriously and going like, you know what, we have a vehicle, we know the amount of data that it is able to produce, and what can we do with that data, right? Can we drive better customer experiences? Can we drive better service experiences within our organization? Can we enable our ecosystem? Because if you understand the automotive ecosystem, it's quite spread out and large, right? So you have vehicle owners, you have manufacturers, you have service providers, you have dealers, and so on. So, how can the overall ecosystem benefit from the data that this vehicle is generating? And financially, also, could this open up newer revenue opportunities for the OEM? So, those were the kind of uh, thoughts that we went through while starting this organization. And luckily, the market was also there, right? Because at least in the Indian context, it was a time when you would see a lot of these connected vehicles roll out, and OEMs were offering connected features right out of the box. So the whole idea behind us starting off with Zeliot was to build platforms that would make it easy for a lot of these OEMs, enterprises in the aftermarket to be able to get all of this data from these diverse data sources, because you're dealing with data from IoT devices. Soon we will be dealing with data from dash cams. We'll be dealing with data from sensors on the vehicles like lidars and so on. And we are also looking at stuff like V2X in the future, where and that's a foreseeable future. That's like very soon, right? So the amount of data that a vehicle generating is that is the that a vehicle generates is only increasing, and we see the trend also go up and increase exponentially. That's where our platform came in. So I have a quick slide deck that I'll bring out, a couple of slides to walk you through what we're doing. So basically, the idea with Condense, our flagship product, is to enable development of streaming data applications. So that includes, I mean, it sounds simple as a one-liner, but the moment you have millions of vehicles sending in different data sources across diverse geographies, different data sets, the kind of data you get from a truck, for example, is very different from what you get from a vehicle and so on. So you need platform, you need tools to be able to make sense of that data, and more importantly make sense of that data in real time. Because if I'm able to predict the failure of a vehicle before it happens, that is much more valuable to the entire ecosystem than kind of predicting it, 1 day later, or saying that, probably the vehicle broke down because of this. So we're kind of wanting to move from a post-mortem scenario to a more predictive approach when it comes to vehicle data. And that's typically the problem we set out to solve, because the traditional approach of dealing with this streaming data involves getting the data in, loading it onto databases, which are generally batch and slower in nature, and then you would run jobs on top of the data. As a result of doing that, you would miss out the window of opportunity, as we call it, because you're not able to respond to these events in real time. Because by the time you get the data out of the database and are able to run the analytics on top of it, you're already delayed, right? And the incident has already happened. So that is why we needed a platform that is very real time, that can run complex analytics at scale, and be able to do that from all the diverse data sources that we just spoke of. So that's where we brought in Condense. We've kind of engineered this from the grounds up. And Condense is a framework, a platform with multiple technologies built into it. So as Kishore mentioned, the backbone of Condense is Kafka, which is a data queuing and a data streaming platform, which is highly scalable in dealing with high throughput data sets. So if you have data coming in from, let us say, if we take an example of a truck generally, every truck streams data every 6 seconds or every 10 seconds currently. And with the network improving from going from 2G to 4G, this is only we are looking at the time shrinking down, right? We see data coming in every 1 second, every 2 seconds, and this is extremely high throughput. So you want to be able to get all of that data in, and make sense of that in real time. And Kafka as a technology choice is amazing at doing this. Um, and another thing that we had in mind when we were building Condense was the fact that we are dealing with large enterprises, we're dealing with OEMs, and we're dealing with extremely sensitive data. So we wanted to ensure that Condense is compliant with all the data security laws and privacy laws. That is why we have engineered Condense to be fully BYOC. BYOC stands for Bring Your Own Cloud. So anything that you do with Condense, it is happening on the OEM's cloud. So we actually deploy the product via cloud marketplaces like AWS, GCP, Azure, and deploy it actually on the customers or the OEMs or the enterprises cloud directly. So ingestion from the source, the data directly enters the customer's cloud. We do not have access to the data at all, and that is at the heart of what Condense stands for. It stands for privacy, it stands for scalability, and it is extremely important for us that the data is secure within the customer's tenant, right? And on top of that, uh, where we differentiated is we made it verticalized. So Kafka was a technology that existed already. What we've kind of done is we've added a layer on top of it, which kind of verticalizes Kafka to be used for mobility use cases, which makes it really good to work with connected vehicle data, for example, to work with dash cam video stream data. So we offer a bunch of pre-built ingestion connectors on top of the Kafka layer. which makes it super simple for any enterprise to bring in data. And we'll demonstrate this to you as well in the later part of the call. And once you're able to ingest it, that is the first step, right? So post ingestion, you actually want to be able to drive or deploy your analytics or business rules on top of the data. So that's where we have a transformation framework that we built into Condense that allows data engineers within OEMs, within enterprises, to write complex data rules on Condense. And we want to make it really simple for these enterprises to deploy these rules as well, because you don't want to be coding everything out. So we've given some utilities, no code utilities basically, which allow us to write no code rules on the streaming data and make sense of that in real time. So this entire platform enables our customers to respond to the streaming data events within the window of opportunity. The pre-built connectors just makes it super simple to go to market faster. And this seamlessly scales to meet the growing data requirements because every OEM is adding vehicles month on month. So let us say on month one, we have about 10,000 vehicles. Then month two, you have 10,000 more. So the platform needs to seamlessly scale to increase the growing data demand. So scalability is foundational to what we've done at Condense. And of course, you just can't have it scale infinitely and not take care of the cloud costs, because that's one of the biggest worry in kind of adoption of this technology from a financial lens, is the fact that the cost could get out of control really quickly, right? So you could lose control on how much you're spending on cloud as you do more, or you drive more applications, or as you scale. So what Condense does is it auto scales up and auto scales down. So because in a lot of deployments, the vehicles don't run at night, for example, right? So can we scale the workloads down seamlessly and then scale them back up to ensure that you're minimizing your cloud usage and using it very efficiently. So these are the fundamental pillars on which Condense is built. Uh, and yeah, we're excited to kind of demo this to you and show what we could do with it. So if we kind of look at this under the hood from purely a technology landscape, because we are talking of building this technology and making it accessible to everybody, a general streaming data platform would have a bunch of technologies, it's extremely diverse. So if you look at an enterprise who has to build something like this from the ground up, you have to deal with network interfaces, you have to deal with message queues, there are microservices that could be written across multiple languages, there are databases that one has to manage. There's observability, and there's the infrastructure management of the cloud itself. So these are extremely diverse skill sets, right? So you would need a strong engineering team to just be able to build this backbone. So we kind of flip it and we say, we abstract all of that technology to our users. So you do not have to worry about managing the message queues. You do not have to worry about managing the microservices. You don't have to worry about scaling them up. Condense does that for you automatically and allows enterprises to just focus on writing the business rules, focuses on bringing out the experience for the end user, right? Focuses on building out the rules that ensure the ecosystem thrives with the kind of data that these vehicles are bringing onto the cloud. So the whole idea was make it really simple for developers to kind of focus on the business use case in driving customer experiences, and Condense would take care of the data engineering and the heavy lifting in the backend, and very seamlessly. So this is how it is laid out. We Condense comes with like a web UI, which is generally categorized into three layers. So if you look at any streaming data platform, there are three fundamental things that you need to do to it, right? So number one is you would need input connectors. So you would need to first of all bring the data into the cloud. So that is where we have a rich set of connectors that brings data directly from the hardware, and that is a big differentiator for our product. So we are enabling enterprises to connect directly to their hardware and get the data in. The second layer is the transformation layer. And this is kind of where the magic happens, right? This is where a lot of your business rules sit, and this is where a lot of the intelligence sits. So that is where we allow companies to either build their own transforms or choose something from the marketplace, right? You could just go for something that is out of the box available. And this is where our partnerships come in, because we are partnering with Bosch, we're partnering with BytEdge to bring some ready-to-use intelligence in the form of transforms on our on Condense, within Condense. So enterprises don't have to worry about building this logic. you could have these out of the box available within Condense and deploy these transforms within a few clicks. And that brings you massive analytics capabilities and massive domain intelligence just within a few clicks, right? So partnerships is the name of the game when it comes to enabling transforms and allowing enterprises to actually turn their raw data into real-time intelligence. So once you have the data come in through input connectors, then transform them either through your own IP, or you could choose something that you have from a partner here. You could then push it out into any output source that you want. So you might choose to persist that data in a database or a data lake, and also choose to stream it downstream, right? So you could have a bunch of customer applications that are listening to this data and kind of visualizing it and so on. So a lot of the visualization generally happens downstream, and Condense allows you to seamlessly connect to the output layer through a lot of these connectors that we offer. All right, so just quickly summing this up before I kind of hand it over to Amit. So this Condense offer the fully managed BYOC Kafka on your own cloud, ensuring full data sovereignty. It comes with developer productivity tools, so you don't have to worry about building a lot of the logic. The platform already comes pre-built with logic, and you could just innovate on top of that. And this is a great thing for developers to kind of experience. We have industry-specific connectors, so this completely eliminates the need for massive integration overheads and allows you to go to market faster. And we've made it really simple for existing message queues apart from Condense, right, to kind of seamlessly migrate into Condense. So we have a full handholding process that enables our users to kind of move into um Condense very easily. Right. So now talking about the kind of partnership that we have going here with BytEdge, and we have Amit on call as well, who's the CEO of BytEdge. So just on the left, you have Zeliot, which comes with its connectors, which comes with its data streaming capabilities, which comes with its scalability, and which is able to scale up to massive throughputs. We've handled throughputs of 250, 300 Mbps, which translates to roughly about 300, 400,000 connected vehicles. So that is the intelligence that Zeliot brings to the table. And on the other side, we have BytEdge, which brings out a lot of insights, which is very domain specific, which is AI driven and so on. And I'll allow Amit to talk more about that. What we are kind of doing is joining both these forces. So with the streaming capability of Zeliot and the domain intelligence capability that BytEdge brings to the table, we plan to have combined value that brings end-to-end visibility for raw data to actual intelligence. Uh, increase the time to market much faster, and we ensure and we enable to scale it across multiple domains, because there is a lot of intelligence that BytEdge brings across automotive, transport, and logistics, and so on. So with that, Amit, I think I welcome you to take over and walk us through what you have going at BytEdge.
Okay. Uh, Thanks, Sudeep, and thanks, Kishore, as well. Hi, good morning. I'm calling in from New York right now. Uh, represent BytEdge. I'm the CEO of BytEdge, which is a US-based company. Now that you've got all the data coming in from the various sources, that's where we come into the picture to provide you all the analytics in real time. Okay. What we see today is our customers come and say, for example, I'll give you two situations. One is from a fleet perspective, which is the customers are saying that we get a lot of data and we have Zeliot there, uh, a condensed platform there with a lot of data coming in. Can you help us in analytics? And especially, I'm looking at two ways of doing it. One is you provide us the analytics as a bolt on to the condensed platform. That is one, and provide us the visualization as well. The other would be that, hey, give me the transforms for predictive analytics. For instance, what are the trips? What are the predictive calendar for my changing my starters or brakes or tires? And then I will have one view in terms of what my alerts are, what my issues are, what my trips are. So we can actually be the BytEdge can provide either visualization directly onto the customer platform, or BytEdge platform can be used as a visualization tool as well. That's one part. So that's on the fleet side of things. The other is we also hear a lot of things from our partner OEMs saying that I need to design my design my brakes or tires or frames? Can you help me using agentic AI solution to build that whole thing? And don't follow the process, just tell me what to do. So with the Condense pulling in all the real data, we provide the simulation and the analytics on top of it, and that is where it becomes very powerful. And obviously, we continue to see that there is a lot of cost pressures from a supply chain perspective, regulatory perspective as well, and sustainability. So what we offer is a validated, defensible, defensible agentic AI platform that our fleets or OEM needs. Next slide, please. So these are some of the customers that we worked with. For instance, one of these state transports, we've been able to shave off $6 million by ingesting the data on a real time basis, literally 3 to 5 seconds, and building up a predictive modeling for the remaining useful life for brakes, tires, engine, and oil changes. And this also helped in increasing the utilization and of the vehicles. The other is we also work with the manufacturing customers to help in predicting the failure of those machines, and also uh, on the anomaly of those data. So the interesting thing is when you have uh, a lot of data coming in, a stream data coming in, uh, there is you do not have to do the failure prediction. All you have to do is look at the anomaly, build the anomaly engines, and then build out the alerts based on the anomaly engine, resulting into a notification or workflow notification that can be taken care of. The other two customers are Fortune 500s, where we've actually done work to help in terms of digitization of their design process, and also figuring out the damages that potentially would happen while the products are in transit. And then the first one which you see is a large auto OEM, where we've been able to help them design their brakes and clutch. Again, looking at the real data that comes in, and then creating virtual twins with an AI field to help reduce their design to manufacturing cycle times. Those are some of the use cases that we have brought in. Next slide. This is the platform. I think the key message here is we are one of those companies who looks at innovation and changing the process or a transformation across the process technology and the platform, looking at the data coming in directly from the vehicles to create a virtual twin environment. And also this has led to some of the things in terms of faster launches of new products, cost savings in terms of predictive analytics or design to manufacturing process, fewer failures because we've been able to proactively predict failures, like what Sudeep was talking about, right? You get a lot of data. Can I do an anomaly on those data to give you predictions of potential problems using generative AI? And that's what we do. And obviously, from a fleet perspective, this helps in uptime as well. So reduction in the operational cost and uptime also helps basically. Next slide. So this is where the platform architecture that we have built together, sitting where you've got streaming data and streaming data coming in into condensed platform. We have agents that we have built that sits on the condensed platform that will give you the output. That output can be sent out through APIs onto reporting and dashboards. That could be potentially your dashboard, or it could be even our dashboard. The key part is you can continue to work with your fleet management companies. We come in to help you with your streaming data and building at APIs so that you get an output and a value based output very quickly. You don't have to reinvent that whole wheel. Okay. Next slide. These are a couple of examples I've got. This is primarily from an OEM perspective, which potentially will apply to the fleets as well. These are basically designer buddies, we call them, which helps in designing of brakes, tires, by integrating AI with the FEA software, which is finite element analysis software, along with the domain part of it. Next slide. The idea would be to have, so if you look at on the left hand side, These are some of the agents that we built out, like the brake agent, the frame agent, the clutch agent. These are agents that are working today to help fleets and OEMs design the components and also help predict the failure of those components. And this can be bolted onto the Condense platform to give you the analytics that you're looking for to reduce your operational cost. So, for instance, you've got, let's say, 100,000 fleets, vehicles in a fleet, and if you're spending, let's say, $2,000 on your brake, for instance, that's a huge amount of spend per year. If I can help reduce that by proactively doing two things. One is proactively telling you, hey, the brakes are going to go bad, and so you fix it before it fails. Or, hey, the driving behavior has to change so that the brakes last longer. We'll help you do that so that you overall spend kind of goes down. And we've seen it in a number of examples. For instance, in this one specific case I was talking about, where we've actually reduced the operational spend by $6 million in a couple of years. So that's the kind of work we do. And with Condense and BytEdge solution, that actually brings a quick value to the to our customers. Next slide, please. So that is why now. So obviously AI adoption is on the rise, and people have been talking about how does AI. We've heard a lot about AI, and you got a lot of data, but where we falter is, can I use AI on the real data to give you predictive analytics? And that is where the Condense and BytEdge comes together. Or obviously there is also a lot of things happening on the EV space, but the reality of the situation is the testing takes a long time. With the real data and the historical data that comes through, we can build that whole platform from in data ingestion to predictive analytics to help give you the remaining useful life for certain components, and obviously the testing the whole thing in a virtual twin environment. And obviously, there is a supply chain pressure. You've seen the tariffs going up. That also plays a role. How do I do things in an automated fashion in a simulation environment as well? And obviously, we are across various verticals. So at this, at the end, your BytEdge enables OEMs and manufacturers to scale with the AI-driven speed, and with sitting on Condense, that makes a huge value for us. I think I'm done. So back to you, Sudeep.
Thanks, Amit. I think that was very well summed up, and definitely we are excited to see the kind of intelligence that we could bring, and by joining forces and seeing how can we get the data in, and we could actually drive intelligence out of that. So we have a quick demo lined up to actually show you some of this in action. I'll bring about my screen shortly, and we'll kind of walk through the process of creating a live data pipeline. Let's see if we could complete that really quickly. But I will do something basic for the want of time. So let me just share my screen here. Perfect. All right. So this is Condense actually. This is what I've done is I've created a fresh workspace for a webinar, and this is just plain landing page, right? I've got nothing built yet. So let us build a quick pipeline which enables us to bring data in from some vehicles that we're simulating, so that for the sake of the webinar that we could bring into Condense. So that takes care of the ingestion. Let us apply a basic rule on it. And then basically on the output side, we would push off one stream to kind of be consumed by Amit's solution. And probably you can show a demo, Amit, once we have the data come over to you. And we'd also have one of the data pipeline probably set up like a notification on my Teams or something like that. Right. So this is Condense. This is the Condense 2.0 UI. This is actually the first time we're kind of publicly showcasing this. So we are very excited to kind of bring this out to the market and see what our customers do with this. So as I mentioned, Kafka forms the backbone of Condense. So you by default have a Kafka that is running out of the box, that is able to get in data, that is able to tell you how much data is coming in, what are you doing with it, and so on. You also get some graphs to see your CPU usage, memory usage, so that you know how much of the compute you're using. And remember, all of this running on your own cloud, right? What I've done is I've set up a few topics for this particular webinar. So of course I have a topic called as raw data, which is a topic is kind of a destination where the data needs to go in within Kafka. So I have raw data as a topic on which I'm going to be simulating some actual vehicle data, pushing it onto a raw data topic. What I'm going to do is set up a basic alert on the data. And once the data is once we determine the alert in real time, The alert is going to go on a topic called as alert underscore data. And we also have a stream that we will kind of push off to the BytEdge application, and we could configure that in the form of topics. And of course, being Kafka backed, every topic has partitions, every topic has retentions. I'm not gonna get into that, but basically, there's a lot of configuration here that you could choose to say how much data do I want each of these topics to store, how long do I want them to kind of replicate it, what is the maximum size that I want to allow, and so on. But we've kind of set this up beforehand. So we have the topics, and then let's head over to a workspace that we have created. Let's head over to, and let's just simulate some data, right? So we have vehicle data here. Let me just choose telematics data. And for the sake of the demo, I want the data to come in every 5 seconds, right? And since we have this topic here handy, let me just configure that data to go into a raw data topic. Right. So as you can see, it's very simple for me to kind of deploy a connector within Condense. So now I have a input connector which is actually running and streaming live data onto this particular topic. Let's see what is the data that we have here. Um, okay, perfect. So we have some telemetry data. I could just copy paste that quickly. All right, so I'm dealing with some vehicle ID, I'm dealing with timestamp, I have the location, I have speed, I have RPM, fuel level, engine temperature, tire pressure coming in from all 4 different tires. That's good. I have ignition, I have a key to kind of tell me what are the events that are going on in the vehicle right now. So that's perfect. So this is typically a smaller subset of any typical scenario that we see out there in the field, wherein you have bunch of vehicles sending in data in this fashion. So this is a standard JSON format in which we get the data. Great. So now that the data is ingested and is available on the topic, let's see what kind of transformation can we do. So you just head over to transforms within Condense. Um, so there are two kinds of transforms that we have. All right. So there's a bunch of stuff that we've already built. For the sake of the demo, we've limited it to this three, but there's a lot of domain specific stuff that we've already built. And the differentiator here is we also allow our customers to create their own transforms. So we'll get to that in a bit, but I just want to set up something really quickly. Let me choose split here as an example. So yeah, I'm actually applying a rule to the real-time data right now. So I'm just choosing a topic. So I have raw data with me. Um, so yeah, so this is the raw data that we just saw. So maybe I want to do something with it. Let's look at applying a rule on the speed. All right, like this could be like an overspeed notifier. So the way to do that is I know what data I'm getting. Let's just call this overspeed identifier. And I want the data to go on to a different topic if there's an overspeed detected, right? So let me choose alert data for that. So if there is an overspeed detected, I want to put it out onto a different topic. That is my primary output topic. Uh, but then if there's no alert, there's nothing to be worried about. I just put it onto a different topic and I kind of stream that out to BytEdge, right? So I could just stream the raw data as it is to BytEdge without much transformation there. Now, this is where the power of Condense starts coming in. I can deploy rules on this in a completely no-code fashion. So we did see that we have speed. Let's try and put a condition on this. So, all right, I want to generate an event if the speed is greater than, say, 100. All right, load, so 100.0. Of course, you can have fixed values here, or you can also cross-reference some other field, and that makes it really dynamic, right? Maybe you have a different speed limit configured for every different vehicle. So instead of just hard coding a value, you could also kind of cross-reference a different field, and then we could make the comparisons. Uh, and you could really deploy extremely complicated rules here. For the sake of the demo and for the sake of the simplicity, I'm just going with speed, but I could have multiple groups. I could have different signals that I could be working off of. And I could really apply a very complicated rule on this data. And all this without touching any kind of code at all, right? So I have this rule set up now, which highlights whenever the speed is greater than or equal to 100. 100.0, let's go. Yep. And then when I want to fire the alert, I want it to have some kind of additional JSON field that tells me this particular topic has an alert, right? So I'll just call it start alert. validate the JSON. So, all right. So any alert that I fire will have the raw data that I'm getting in, along with an additional metadata which says start, alert start, right? And similarly, whenever there is no alert and we have nothing to worry about, we could just paste this here and go with the stop alert, or rather no alert actually, right? So all right, so we have all of this configured. I didn't have to code at all. I got in the data. I'm able to apply a rule on it. I'm able to validate. I like what I've done. I have an alert that I'm able to generate off of the speed in real time. I go ahead and just deploy this utility, right? So this utility got deployed. Now you see the pipeline starting to take shape. So I have the raw data come in, going on to a topic, and then I have a utility which is two outputs. Of course, one in case there is an alert and another if there is no alert. So what we could do is, and what partner solutions can do is, they could just hook on to this framework. They could just connect to Kafka, get the raw data from Kafka, and actually build out applications. And that is something Amit will touch upon. But for the sake of completing the pipeline, let's also have something on the output. Maybe I want to set out a notification on Teams or something like that. I don't have, and I have a bunch of connectors here. Of course, I could connect it to a database, I could connect it to another downstream service and so on. But I want to write something custom because I really want to showcase our custom transformation framework. So let's head over to applications. As you see, I already have a custom application that I've just written, I think about 20 minutes before this webinar. So I have a code here which writes notifications to our teams. So what Condense allows you to do is allows your developers to actually connect their GitHub, connect their code base, bring the data in, and actually develop a full-fledged application, right? You could actually see that I'm able to take the code into Condense fully and actually build out the application there. Let me try that out. Seeing some issue with this. Let's look at creating a new application. Okay. So I have to authorize myself with GitLab. That's why this took a while. Do that real quick. Yeah, so it is built with security, wherein it allows me to connect securely to my Git and actually take control. So now that I'm connected, I could actually select a repository. So I have a bunch of repositories here, and let us say a DPC alert. Let us say I want to create a custom output connector because I didn't have a Teams connector with me. So this will be 1.0. So this takes a while, and what this is actually doing is this is giving you a complete virtual environment where you could input your code and actually build out a complete custom connector or a transform. It's up to you what you want to do here, and this is completely language agnostic. All right, so there is a place where you could configure all your environment variables that your code needs. There is a way you could test out your application before actually publishing this and building this out. And you could do whatever you want within this code, right? It could be extremely complex algorithms. It could be very basic stuff and basic manipulation of the data that you want to do. But developers have full freedom in kind of creating a custom application, right? So I'm not going to go ahead with creating this because I already have this set up. So let me go to connectors, and once I hit publish there, I actually have a custom connector available with me. So I just filter out connector and the Teams notifier is already available. So let me just configure this, right? So I have a bunch of things that I need to do. These are the env variables that I need my Kafka credentials because this needs to read from a certain topic on Kafka. So we just push that as variables in there. And this needs to read the alert data. Yeah. So in our alert data, there we go. So any alert that is being generated, this connector is going to connect to it and is going to write to my Teams. And generally, Teams needs a web hook URL. I have that handy with me because I created a channel where we could get on these alerts. Yeah. And also the other important thing to note here is any connector that you want to deploy, you kind of have full control over how much CPU you need to kind of configure for it, what is the RAM that you want to configure for it, and do you want to turn on auto scaling or not. And Condense takes care of all of that for you. It does the heavy lifting, like I said. It ensures that there is enough infrastructure available for this particular connector to run. So that being said, let me deploy this. And there we go. We have a full connector, which is simulating data from actual vehicles, putting that out onto a topic, running some rule on it, and actually checking if the vehicle is overspeeding or not. And then actually we have a Teams notification that we just custom built. And in the same fashion, you could also build anything custom that you want across Condense. And we should be able to see some alerts on our Teams channel. And this is my Teams. There we go. We have new messages popping up. That's cool. So anytime the speed is greater than 100, I think we'll have, yeah. So anytime we have a speed greater than 100. So we see a lot of data coming in there. But I think that is the idea. We are kind of making it very simple for organizations to build out these streaming pipelines. This is a very simple kind of a hello world example here. But it kind of gives you an idea of what we could really do with it. And also one stream of data is available, the raw data that is kind of could be consumed by any other application. And in this case, we have application like BytEdge kind of consuming that data to build out their agentic framework. Amit, over to you to kind of take us through that real quick.
Thanks, Sudhir.
Amit. Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone can bring up the video while they're bringing it up. So now that you've got the connectors built out, the next step would be, how do I use the information coming in to build out the agentic framework, right? Or predictive analytics piece, basically. Now, for instance, like what Sudeep talked about, excessive speed, but that excessive speed has an implication on overall behavior of the driver, and also whether it's aggressive or not. It also has an impact on the overall emissions that the driver may be leading into. Will also have an impact on the RPM, which means the engine. And then obviously, if the driver behavior is aggressive, it also has an impact on the overall vehicle performance and the performance of various components such as brakes and the clutch, depending on the high RPM and all. So where we come to the picture is take that information and build up the next level of anomalies on that data, and also the predictions and the calendar on it. So what I'm going to show is a quick video where you'll get a gist of how agentic AI with the conversation comes into play. So can you just play the video, please? It's about 2 minutes. You'll get a feel of this thing.
Are you overwhelmed with mountains of data and unsure how to extract its true value? Spending too much time analyzing data rather than deriving actionable insights? The cost of using multiple analytical tools and writing custom AI code becoming prohibitive? We understand the challenges you face, and BytEdge is here to help. BytEdge's cloud-based platform offers a DIY solution for real-time data observability, predictive analytics, and conversational AI, all in one easy-to-use platform. Our platform, powered by proprietary algorithms, streamlines analysis, reduces costs, and speeds up decision-making. BytEdge's suite of solutions, DataEdge for real-time data ingestion, PredictEdge for DIY predictions and prescriptions, and DesignEdge for product design optimization using digital twins, helps improve productivity across industries. For example, in automotive, DesignEdge has reduced the design to manufacturing time by 30% to 50%. By identifying anomalies in brake pad temperatures and predicting wear, we help automotive OEMs cut down design times from 1.5 years to just 9 months. In logistics, our platform offers real-time data observability, optimizing delivery schedules and preventing vehicle failures. With PredictEdge's predictive maintenance, logistics providers save 15–20% on operations, ensuring smoother, more efficient deliveries. BytEdge's conversational AI goes a step further, suggesting optimal maintenance windows based on delivery schedules, fleet availability, and logistics considerations, keeping operations aligned and efficient. Unlock the full potential of your data with BytEdge. Trusted by industry leaders, including several Fortune 500 companies, our platform elevates your business, drives exceptional results, and provides a competitive edge. Connect with us today to not just adapt, but thrive with cutting-edge AI-driven solutions.
So perfect. So as Sudeep showed you how the data ingestion happens, the video showed exactly how we take that whole information and convert into analytics, which can drive value for you. And obviously, it's not just what we give you in terms of what needs to be fixed. We also create a conversation with you to help you fix that problem. And at the end, any problem that you solve goes back into our engine for reinforced learning. Okay. I'll stop here because we've got about 10, 12 minutes. I want probably
Yeah,
to take some questions
sure.
now.
Yes. So thank you, Sudeep and Amit, for demonstrating and talking about your products. I think one thing that came out very clear is how simplified the technology has become, right? In the earlier days, you really had to crank up all of this stuff. You had to have a big team, you had to hire people. But with some of these products, I think you're simplifying the lives of developers, so to say, and enabling faster time to market. So it's great to see these products, and we'd be happy to open this for a few questions. If any of you have, you could all type it in the Q&A or the chat, or you could ask. I think your mics have been enabled. Um, while we wait for questions, one of the first questions I have is, uh, I mean, I'm asking on behalf of some of the folks who have come across this product. Is there a kind of a data threshold that you would advocate use of Condense? What in your opinion should be the best point where the maximum benefit of the platform is felt, uh, even in the finance department, right? More
Hmm.
often, technical folks are very adept at adopting things because it simplifies their life, but uh, finance folks are the guys who ask the ROI and things like those. So
Yeah.
is there some sort of a ballpark suggestion saying when this platform really um, bring in that financial benefit?
Right, Kishore, and we do get that a lot. So, my answer to that is twofold, right? Like currently, we don't have a SaaS version of it. So, what that would enable, and that is something that we are planning to launch soon, is when we have a SaaS version, we could have very small data loads also come onto Condense and not have it be heavy on the pocket, right? But today, the way it is structured is we offer BYOC only. There is upside and downside to BYOC. So when you are dealing with smaller workloads financially, you have to maintain a certain amount of base infra, right? That is required fundamentally for the platform to run. I would say that sweet spot is somewhere around 5 to 6 Mbps of data. Very loosely translated, that would translate to about 10,000 odd connected vehicles sending in data every 6 to 10 seconds, roughly. I mean, as a benchmark. uh, at that point in time, and that is that threshold. And also, I think a lot of enterprises would be interested to do a BYOC deployment if you have a sizable amount of data that you're dealing with, right? At that point of time, it kind of makes sense to use this, deploy it on your own cloud, and scale up from there. Because from there, it's beneficial compared to SaaS also, because it kind of scales up really well and you have control on infra.
Right. And once customer adopts Condense as a platform, what is the kind of interfaces available with Zeliot? Is it something that you offer as a fully managed tool, or do you also offer some sort of a hand-holding support to launch, different transforms? How do you work with customers?
Yeah, so one is the product itself. So there is an SLA, it is an SLA backed product. So it is fully managed BYOC. So we have a dedicated support team. We get proactive alerts from every Condense deployment that we do. All of that is configured into the platform. So we just get the alerts. We don't get the actual transactional data, but we know that if any deployment needs, in fact, we've gone predictive there too. We want to know if a deployment is going to fail or might get overloaded shortly. So we act on those proactively from our side. So that way we ensure the uptime. There is a second angle to it where we do offer implementation services or engineering services on top of Condense. And that is basically working with the customer and actually bringing their entire data pipeline to life. Right. So writing of custom transforms, consulting them on whether do you go custom? Can you use something that we have pre-built? And how do you basically architect your solution around Condense, right? So that is the engineering services part of it, where we do a lot of hand-holding for our customers to build really scalable architectures. And we've executed this with major OEMs in India, and have done close to about 5 to 6 or such major deployments where we've been able to successfully architect and bring down costs over a period of time.
So there is one question from Guru Raj. So maybe you would want to ask. We can't hear you, Guru Raj, if you're speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, thank you, Sudeep, and thank you, Amit, yeah, for your contribution to this digital domain by simplifying complex coding challenges. So I just had a question to you, Sudeep. I noticed like many similarities between your tool, Condense, and I've been using Node-RED for some time now. So since Node-RED also offers very similar capabilities like Kafka, it could be Kafka, it could be on QTT or Amazon Web Services and so on. But what do you think? What is the key differentiating factor for you, like if I compare Condense with Node-RED?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, compared to Node-RED, one of the key differentiators is the verticalization that we bring in terms of some of the connectors, Gururaj, because we are enabling you to bring in data from extremely diverse data sources, the likes of which are probably not fully supported by any other streaming platform that at least that we've seen. That is one. And second is the fact that I mean, even technically, although you could say that you're able to write custom stuff to bring data in, what Condense is promising you is an uptime and the scalability on the services that you write as well. It's not just about Kafka. Whatever connectors that are out there, whatever transforms that you have, Condense ensures the scalability of those as well. Scale up and scale down, both ways, right? All on your own cloud. So that is another differentiator that we could highlight. Third thing is where we bring out transformation as a marketplace. So we are launching a marketplace within Condense which has intelligence built into it. So the likes of what Amit is doing with BytEdge, right? Imagine having a predictive analytics module which is already built in, and be it and have it BYOC, so that the predictive intelligence could also just be plugged into your data pipeline in a few clicks, and then have it scale and then do the inferencing and so on in real time. So the ecosystem that we're trying to build, especially around mobility, is what would kind of differentiate from us from generic data streaming platforms out there.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thanks,
There
Sudeep.
is another question as well on the Q&A. I'll read it out. EV sector centric question. Given the fragmentation across EV OEMs, charging infra and fleet asset operators, should there be some form of a standardized data protocol for Indian EV industry? Well, this question is a little out of scope. It's more of a standards question, but to answer how we could work with these multiple, uh, you know, data sources, you've seen in the platform that we have pre-built connectors, right? So in Condense, what you could do is you could build connectors once, and then any data that comes from that kind of a connector, you don't have to spend any effort again, right? Until of course there is one unique standard that comes across, then it also simplifies our life that we don't have to build so many connectors. But yeah, technically speaking, it is a desirable thing that there is a common protocol, but this is again beyond some of our influence to do. But from a product standpoint itself, I think we are built in for that to say, build your connector once and then connect data from that. Yeah.
There is also one way of solving this, Aditya, in just adding to what Kishore said. See, we are open to partnerships. So let us say there is a CPO out there or there's an OEM out there. We are keen to work with OEMs in kind of bringing their connector onto Condense. All right. So what that would do is somebody who's building a solution and is interested in a certain charge point operator's data or a certain OEM's data, we want to have a scenario wherein just with a simple connector on Condense, even without any government framework or any kind of policies being in place, we want to make it super simple for that OEM's connector to come in. As an example, we've actually built Volvo trucks connector right into Condense today. So if you are a fleet operator who has a bunch of Volvo trucks, or somebody who's offering a solution on top of Volvo trucks, there is a very simple way for you to bring in Volvo data into Condense today. And we could look at some of these collaborations to help standardize that as well.
Yeah, so the marketplace is one of the standout features here, because this is truly a collaborative marketplace. In a sense, you could always write connectors or write your applications and then host it there. So you can thereby simplify life for a lot of others to adopt it and take this platform forward.
I think the key part is also because you have Condense and because you have BytEdge, who has already written out these predictive analytics for your starters, your motors, your batteries, right? Your brakes and tires. It becomes easy, and that whole connectivity doesn't become a big bottleneck right now. The key is, pushing the data to the cloud, whether it's private or public.
So there is one other question from Pushkar. He says, how do you take care of communication instabilities or data security in Condense? So I'm assuming communication instabilities from the source, you mean, right? Let's say you're streaming from a telematics device or from a different connector. Are you referring to instabilities from there or downstream? Yeah, okay,
From the
from the source. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So from the source, generally, Pushkar, what happens is, assuming your source is a connected vehicle and it's a mobile asset, so it's generally bound to travel and go into regions where there might be no network. So what happens is a lot of these devices have the capability to store data on their cloud, within the device, right? We generally call them historical data or late arrivals. So what happens is that there's no network and the car is traveling, the data gets stored onto the vehicle. It's not lost. And once there is network, these telematics units kind of push the data all out onto the cloud, say in form of batches or in multiple packets. What we need to do in Condense in that case, especially when you're writing stateful rules, let us say that depend on a bunch of data coming together and then analyzing it, we have to be very careful in distinguishing between live streams and historical streams. And you have to treat late arrivals a little differently. You don't want the late arrivals to mess up your real time, windows or data batches that you set up. So it's very important to have some of these. I mean, we can't code that into the platform, but these are kind of guidelines as to how do you develop streaming applications, how do you handle late arrivals. Of course, Condense lets you pipe the data into a separate Kafka topic and then deal with it later or kind of store it into a database and so on. But that's generally how you would go about it.
So
There is another, yeah. Sorry, yeah, Anand, go ahead.
I was just going to add, what you're saying is absolutely true. Most of these devices have the capability of storing data for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. And the moment it gets a connectivity, it sends the data through Condense, and which can be collected into the BytEdge system to do the analytics. So, yeah, trip reports and some things would come up a little bit late, but yeah, it does take care of things for late arrivals as well.
Exactly. And that is another benefit of having building the whole thing on Kafka, right? Because the moment you have data come in, it's a message queue, right? So unless somebody consumes it, the data remains on Kafka. So let us say there's Amit's service, which is hooked on to Condense, and there is some kind of job that it is doing in terms of prediction and so on. The Kafka backbone ensures that the next set of data is queued up and ready to be consumed, so that then your analytics kind of flow in smoothly, but it could be a little delayed, but the data is never lost basically in that case.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The question is, can Condense be deployed on devices, basically Raspberry Pi or um, when you say bring your own cloud, it's a cloud, right? So that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, we need a minimum for vCPU kind of a machine today. We're kind of trying to shrink it down. We did have an edge version. We call it Condense Edge, but it's not actually the same. So we built a firmware version of Condense that could be built onto TCUs or Linux systems and so on. But I mean, it kind of limits the capabilities. You could do smaller amount of rules onto Condense and so on. So there, the requirement is extremely small, but it's not the true power of Condense. It's actually extremely shrink down. We're yet to kind of see if the full potential of Condense could be brought out onto a Raspberry Pi or a Jetson, but not as of today. At least we kind of offer a minimum vCPU, at least a four nodes or four vCPU machine at least to be able to run something like this. Because it's about the entire Kafka backbone, right? And Kafka by default is a little memory intensive when it kind of at the base deployment.
All right. I think we've spent a good amount of time. So thank you everybody for joining us. And if you would like to understand more of the product, you want to do a POC, try it out, you want to refer to a few of your use cases, please get in touch. You could get in touch either with Sudeep, Amit, or the Bosch team. And we'll be able to get you going to use this product for your use case. So thank you everybody for your time.
Yep. Great. Thanks. Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.